Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running the theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess who's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
All right. So the actual topic of this video is aviation, because for those of you, and somehow up to this point, if you don't know, yes, Tammy, it is a great song. However, yeah, I have a background in aviation. I was aviation electronics tech second class, whereas somebody in the chat right now is a first class. Would have been my boss. So, last one I was in the E Club in Norfolk. Oh boy, you old, because I don't think that exists. Oh no, it could sort of exist. I never was in a fight there. I just stole people's money there. On the pool table. But that's what happens when you're ambidextrous. Sidebar. Check my email when I can. Oh, great. I don't see anything right now. I'll check it later. So I was aviation. I met Mr. Squid in the military. He's aviation as well, although was not avionics. However, my mom was aviation, civilian aviation as well, while I was in the military. Mr. Squid is currently still aviation, and he might be home soon. I'm not sure. It's it's so aviation things that happen in the world catch my attention. I do not have a formal education in aviation. I have the military education, but I do not have a formal civilian education. That's in occupational therapy. Whole other subject, I know. Jack of all trades, master of none kind of a situation here. However, I have an in-house expert. He claims he is not an expert. He will say that he is not an expert, but the man is an expert. However, I did not get to pick his brain on this as much as I wanted to, because I was trying not to annoy him because of the fact that he works a lot. I try to tactfully pick his brain, but some of the things that he said. So we have two things that we're going to address today. We have the Louisville MD-11 crash, and then we have the Medevac helicopter crash in Nashville. The Medevac, we're going to address that kind of first because there is not a lot of information on it. It happened. We are going to read an article on it, and when any information comes out, I will be covering it. But with the exception of a couple articles, I have not seen much on it. I have not. Yeah, the chances of that are slim to absolutely none. Yeah. Sorry, I thought I heard the little close the door. He's home. He's home. He's home. So she knocked a loudmouth drunk off his bar stool with a 3-finger push to the chest. He got up, grabbed my daughter, retaliate, and that's when I got involved. But I put him in a rear naked choke, and almost put him to sleep. Because I knew if I would have let go of him, he would have knocked me out. So my goal was to put him to sleep because I was in jiu-jitsu at the time. So I was hoping to just make him go nighty night, but I was also trying not to make him go nighty night because I didn't want to be charged with assault. So it was towing a very fine line. And I also didn't mean to push him off his bar stool. I used 3 fingers. I didn't expect a grown ass man that was like 6 foot tall and like 200 and some odd pounds to fly from 3 fingers to the chest. But that's a side note. Uh, Technical A school is the equivalent of an associate's degree, I guess. I guess. Yeah. Um, Mr. Kraft should have held his tongue. Yeah. But I don't know if he deleted them or if YouTube deleted them because they are not there anymore that I can find. However, we are going to read a an article. The Mr. Squid keeps talking to the little because she keeps starting the robot vacuum cleaner. She starts it 7 times a day. My floors are the cleanest they've ever been. So we are going to read this. And this stream was derailed from the very start. But I was also supposed to have a guest today, but he's apparently he went nighty night and doesn't want to hang out with me today. So there's that. Yeah, I had a huge problem. Yeah. Yeah. I add another one to the list. Don't mess with Megan Fox and don't mess with Squid. I did kind of find it funny that um they keep showing my screenshots on they always show my screenshots on various people's channels, but none of those people have ever reached out to me to talk to me about what was actually said. They just use screenshots. So just so you know, my screenshots that have showed up on Jeremy's and Megan's and Tug's streams, not one of those 3 has ever reached out to actually talk to me about what was said in my chat. So, you know, FYI. Not like anybody actually cares and not like I really care either. I just find it funny. But just in case that anybody in the chat actually thinks that like any of us certain people talk, um there's no love lost there cuz they don't talk to me. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not in the cool kids club. So but they can sure as shit show my screenshots on their channels, but they can't actually reach out and talk to me, right? Funny how that one works. The level of respect, right? You can show my screenshots multiple times on multiple people's channels, but yeah, you don't ever like reach out to to ask who said what or what was actually said. Just fucking hilarious to me. All right, 1 dead and 2 critically injured after LifeFlight helicopter crashes in Wilson County. LifeFlight helicopter from Vanderbilt University Medical Center has crashed near a certain road leaving one crew member dead, according to a spokesperson from VUMC. 2 others remain in critical condition, and this happened after the Louisville crash. Saw on Facebook as well. Saw what on Facebook as well? Um, oh, it's because you call it the bullshit no matter what side. Mm, yeah, if it makes them money, they will do it. That's true. You know, um, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office is coordinating with multiple agencies at the scene. After the plane went down sometime after 1:30 on Saturday, crews worked to extricate people inside, according to Captain Moore with Wilson County Sheriff's Office. Flight records from FlightAware. And FlightAware, if you don't use FlightAware, it's an amazing website. Um, it's a real shame, but it's their loss, not yours. Yeah, not my problem. But I just find it hilarious because it's like you use my content, but you can't talk to me like a grown ass woman. Yeah. Flight records from FlightAware show an EC130 helicopter was in the air for approximately 8 minutes after departing Music City Executive Airport before dropping off at the scene of the crash site. And chief communications officer from Vanderbilt University Medical Center was deeply saddened to confirm that Vanderbilt LifeFlight helicopter was involved in an accident this afternoon in Wilson County. 3 crew members were on board. Tragically, 1 crew member lost their life and 2 others are in critical condition. No patients were on board at the time of the incident. There's the you know, there is no information right now. So this is why I'm bringing this up. And I believe no one has really talked about it much. Um, their only thing that I've been able to find on this is um, the only thing that I've been able to find on this was a tweet from NTSB and an article from Fox 17 in Nashville. Other than that, there's not been much. However, I will be keeping an eye on it because there is something going on. And I know that more incidents with social media and people the government shutdown didn't help. And with everything going on with overhauling our aviation and people having TDS, um, that contributes to it too, where things are just being reported more. However, um, the data still is not showing a whole lot, and I have to check the data for the last 2 or 3 months, but up until July, the data for 2025 was not showing many differences in the number of fatal crashes aviation-wise up to this point compared to last year. However, we'll see. So we'll have to check, but nothing's really been reported on this, and there's not a lot of information. But I will be keeping an eye on it because that's just what I do. And Zach, you better be sticking to that diet, fat ass. 18 hours and 22 minutes of a fast today. I did kind of go a little bit haywire when I ate, but not unbelievably crazy. And hopefully, after I'm done with this stream, I will be able to head to the gym. Maybe, maybe, you know. Um, see, I'm right. Squid has now no problem throwing hands if provoked. Well, I also don't there's a fine line between what you want to say and what you say. Like he activated mama bear mode and no. But in general, um the with the bar fight, there was a verbal confrontation first, with some name calling and there's certain things that you don't say and there's certain people in my life that you don't attack. Um, Now the main one that you don't talk about is my child. But before my child was born, Um, like, my parents and I don't always get along 100%. We disagree on things. My dad and I get into arguments. My mom and I get into arguments. Mr. Squid and I get into arguments. But my family is people that you don't attack. So when a drunkie in a bar, even though he's the bar owner's best friend, I'm pretty sure they were sleeping together too. Not really sure, but that's beside the point. Um, when the bar owner's best little bestie, um, when he decides to start running his mouth because he thinks he's too important to be held accountable for his actions, accountability. Um, and all I meant to do was poke him in the chest and be like, "Shut the hell up." Because playing devil's advocate, I told my dad to shut the hell up too. Oh, and poor Marine, thanks for the $10 super chat. Thanks for your service, Squid and Mr. Squid. You too, poor Marine. Did you eat enough crayons yesterday? And are you using your blue crayons as your hangover cure? Because they're the ones that always seem to help with the hangover. Could it be that air traffic control is starting to become a larger issue as the controllers are underpaid? Possibly. There is the so back in 2015, Devil Fan, I don't know if you followed me back to where I was still covering this, but right now it's in mediation. But in 2015, there was a group of people who sued the Department of Transportation because they were in the college program to be hired as air traffic controllers, and the Department of Transportation changed their hiring practices to hire based hire more people of diversity, which screwed the people who were already in the pipeline to get hired because they were too male and too white. That's according to their lawsuit. Well, that's currently in mediation. That lawsuit is 10 years old. It's currently in mediation, so there's no point in covering it right now because it's in mediation. There's no new documents, there's no new nothing. But I read that lawsuit last year. So be safe, Zach. So there's a thing. Um, you look incredible today. Were you at work? No, I put eyeliner on and I put my light on in the back, and I don't have the lights on in front. So yeah, there was just that. But thank you. Uh, and poor Marine, thanks for the $20 super chat. Here's your donation for the next FOD walk. Uh, so this is basically all we have on the Nashville crash. I do have um ChatGPT scheduled. This is how I use ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT scheduled to run a search on the internet every morning at 8 o'clock for updates on certain aviation cases. So it'll send me an email and say, "Hey, there's updates," and it'll it'll send me a bunch of links if it finds anything that is even partially related. So every day I have a bunch of stuff to go through. Sometimes it's not good, sometimes it's helpful. But that's how I use AI on this channel is I have it set up to go, "Hey, search the internet for any data or any new information related to Louisville crash." All that stuff. Um, yeah, it's a bigger problem that they lowered the standards to meet their quota for ATC. Yeah, you're fine. It's just one of those like, you know, mm, I'm just there's a and this is a difficult conversation as well because when people start hiring based on it's like, okay, we're going to use the gender thing to take race completely out of it. It's like saying there's not enough men in nursing and trying to force to change standards to increase nursing or men in nursing schools. If you look at it like that, it sounds pretty damn stupid because the general common sense is that men want to be doctors, and this is from being in healthcare, I kind of understand why. Nursing, you are more patient-centered and caregiving. Doctors, more analytical, think house, analytical, trying to break things and diagnose. nursing, caregiving, nurturing, more motherly role versus more masculine role. It just sort of works. Like, not everybody is it's not that everybody can't do certain jobs, maybe they just don't fucking want to. It's like women in STEM. It's not that women can't be engineers. I'm halfway to an aeronautical engineering degree. I just don't wanna fucking be an engineer. I just don't wanna do it. It's not what I want to do with my life. It's it's trying to force people into certain roles that I think is the problem. It has nothing to do with like, I don't think anybody is too stupid to do anything. I think everybody can do anything they want. It's like taking the ASVAB. Just certain people are better at certain things based on their personalities. Not everybody wants to be an engineer. It's like I could be a firefighter. I don't want to be a fucking firefighter. That's not my interest. I could be a nurse. I don't wanna be a damn nurse. Like, I like people, I like caring for people, but I can't spend that much time with one person. It's it's it it's different different strengths. Like, it's just weird. Some careers can't be discussed with family. I was in law enforcement, I had to withhold from my family naturally created tension. Exactly. Um, so that one in the other room at one time had a job where he was in a research um, job and it couldn't discuss with me things that would happen. And I could see like it's not that he talks to me about work all the time because he doesn't, but like when something is bothering him and he just needs to get it out and he can't, it's like it, you know, yeah. So it's one of those I'm for and this is a difficult conversation, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, she's this or she's that." It's like, no, I'm for just certain people may not it's not that they can't, it's just they don't want to. Like I said, I'm halfway to an aeronautical engineering degree. I don't wanna be a fucking aeronautical engineer. Like, it's just not what my interests are. If I wanted to be a friggin' aeronautical engineer, I would have finished my degree when I got out of the military. I would have finished my A&P license and just went into aviation. I wanted to be a therapist. I ended up as a therapy assistant, but long story on that one. It's not forcing people to get involved in certain people, it's allowing otherwise unqualified people to get in roles they shouldn't be. And I think when people look at it and, like, look at certain things and I think we should give everybody the opportunity to do anything they want. Anybody. I just don't think that you should force by saying we have to have this many people in like 25% of our workforce has to be this. If 25% of your workforce happens to be that because they applied and they were qualified and they got the job, great. Who the hell cares? If 100% of your workforce is a certain gender or a certain race because that's what they wanted to do, they were the only people who applied, they were qualified and they got the job, fucking amazing. But at the end of the day, it's like when someone applies for a job and is qualified to do that job, who the hell cares what color their skin is or what between their legs or what hormones they have? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, like Squid explains in 30 seconds the hierarchy of healthcare that I got after 4 years of nursing school. Well, it's one of those things of like if you just look at the psychology of the jobs, um, and I do believe that there's an education difference, which plus the pay gap. Mr. Squid and I have had this thing. We've had discussions on the pay gap. I have a theory. So pay gap. Um, Mr. Squid has never taken a job where he hasn't negotiated a salary. I have never negotiated a salary. I am convinced that when they will offer men and women the exact same thing, but men will negotiate a higher salary, whereas women, we just, for some ungodly reason, just take what we're offered instead of asking for what we think we're worth. There's pay gap explained in 30 seconds. Like, I might not be right, but that's my theory. Like, Heather, thank you for or I forget stuff when I heard this. Oh, I'm so sorry you're hurting. And I'm sorry. I'm hoping you're talking to her. And Heather, I'm so sorry. If people start saying Heather in the chat and you're in here, I get confused. Um, so like, so if I get confused on who people are talking to, please forgive me. Uh, I don't want a surgeon to be in the bottom 25 of the class, but the standards were lowered at the hospital that hired him. Well, here's the thing. You know what they call a surgeon who got a D in med school? A surgeon. But you know what they call an occupational therapy assistant who got a C in occupational therapy assistant school? Not an occupational therapy assistant school. Or not an occupational therapy assistant because we had standards where if you got lower than a C, your ass got kicked out of the program. So there's that. Anyway, moving on to the main topic. So this is the FAA registry for the Louisville crash. I have picked Mr. Squid's brain about the MD-11 airframe because honestly, my mother and Mr. Squid know a hell of a lot more about it. And um, m- to be perfectly honest, as far as like the loading capacity and actually like the functioning of it, I'm sure my mom knows a little bit more than Mr. Squid. And I only say this because my mom worked for a civilian airline who happened to load cargo. So there's a couple of things, and we're going to address a couple of things. And when I say a couple, um, there's a couple of. I'm not going to rumored on why things failed because the preliminary report is not out yet. When the preliminary report um, when the preliminary report comes out, we will be reading it. However, this is a very old airframe. Um, so we're just going to get into a few facts. And you might have heard other or these facts on other channels. I just want to we're just going to address them here just for the sake of a baseline, so to speak. Um, so this was the aircraft in itself. Tail number of 259 UP. It's a McDonnell Douglas. However, if you hear people talk about this aircraft and you hear Boeing mentioned, McDonnell Douglas and Boeing merged in the late 90s. So although this aircraft and this airframe wasn't developed by Boeing, it was uh, inherited. I was going to say adopted. I was like, no, that's not the right word. Inherited by Boeing. Um, so it's if you hear Boeing, it's because Boeing now owns these aircraft. Um, it's just yes, right here. Ungung Hero, thanks for the $10 super chat. The MD-11 is the DC-10. When Boeing acquired McDonnell Douglas, they inherited the airframe's design. They continued to production as an MD-11 to I hate that freaking word, the safety record. Yes, and there's also reasons that, and this I know from my mother, and talking to my mother. There's nobody in the U.S. that I'm aware of. Like I said, I am not perfect. I'm not a complete expert in this. Nobody that I know of is using this as a passenger airline. The reason why is it's expensive. It is not fuel efficient. It's a 3-engine aircraft. Most airlines these days are using 2-engine aircraft, more fuel efficient. And even UPS, I think there's UPS, there's FedEx, and I think there's like Western Global. I think it's Western Global. It's global something. or Western something, um, using these aircraft. I'm I was under the impression that UPS was trying to phase these aircraft out because they were so expensive. Um, so if you ever look at the cost of shipping and you're looking at where something ships from, think about how it ships. You have to ship using an aircraft. Well, what aircraft are they using to fly that route? The Hawaii, the this route to Hawaii was the MD-11. It's a very expensive aircraft to fly, therefore shipping costs. I know we're being feudal here talking about shipping costs, but like these are the things that like I love Captain Steve. I watch all his videos, all of them. But like eh, he's a pilot, so his main thing is the aircraft, the airframe, the why, the how. I'm a consumer. My thing is I like the details of the why things are expensive and like okay, it's expensive, but how does the aircraft being expensive translate to me? Why would Boeing's flying or UPS flying expensive ass aircraft? How does that affect me? Oh, my shipping costs. Um, it the way they pay their people. All that comes back to how much they charge me. Yes, and they're old. This aircraft was 34 years old. Um, it was also in um, it was also in maintenance for 6 weeks, and the maintenance records are not public yet. So we have some things that have been released, but the actual transcripts and all the maintenance records have not been made public yet. So when you look at things and you hear things, take it with a grain of salt on where they got their information from because they might be making inferences based on their knowledge, but not actually using the data. And this is why I like receipts. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you because I don't like conspiracy theories. Um, because there's too many people on the internet and too many people just in general just saying, "Well, I heard this. Well, I heard this. Well, I heard this." Um, yeah. Now that fuel costs are coming down, you think we'll see shipping costs go down too. Haha, we needed a good laugh, didn't we? Nice work. Nice work. Oh my goodness. Uh yeah. Um yeah. Huh. I believe most crashes are due to failed maintenance or unfamiliar of the aircraft. And it's most of them are multifactorial. I had to think of that word. 81. MD-11 is not a DC-10, different engines, longer fuselage and wings, increased mass takeoff by weight 14%. It was derived from the DC-10, but not a DC-10. Like saying E2 and C2 are the same. Yeah. It they have similarities, but they are not the same. They are based think about the MD-11 as like a evolution of the DC-10. Like the MD-11 wouldn't exist if the DC-10 did not exist. Yeah, right here. Um, what wanted to talk about was I have the audio. I'm not going to show the video per se. Actually, I will. Um, it's I have to move it to a different screen so I can see y'all. And we are not really going to I'm not really going to talk completely about the the why because we don't really know why yet. But they did everything that they could. And rest y I am not gonna show the dash cam video. Um, I am just going to show there is a YouTube video, from Aviation or what NW, um, that is the ATC audio and the runway. Um, not the, it is not the, it is not the dash cam video because we're just not going to go there. But let me turn my volume down a little bit. Um, and then I'm going to kind of get into what I talked to Mr. Squid about and the um, Airworthiness Directive and how that impacts us as consumers and the aviation industry as a whole, because it's the holiday season. It's almost Thanksgiving. So that Airworthiness Directive impacts everybody. This is like the worst time. Not that this was good ever, but like if this was going to happen, this was the absolute worst possible time. Yep. You can't do your theory and a disclaimer that this is only a theory. Yes. Um, this is all of this that we are talking about. We are going to read the actual airworthiness directive. However, everything else, um, we are just these are hypotheticals. I do not have actual black box audio, um, or cockpit audio. We do not have NTSB reports. We did watch an NTSB hearing the other day, but we do not have any actual transcripts from anything yet. Uh, um, it could have been a lot worse because there was a lot more people and a lot more buildings that could have been hit. So it's just we're just gonna watch or listen to this real quick and go on about our business.
And souls on board, do you have any of that? Was it UPS? No info on that. And it was UPS. Everybody, Roger.
Horseman radio. Be advised, there's been a large explosion.
And this is where it gets because the dash cam video is on here and I forgot about it. Sorry. But trigger warning.
Off Fern Valley Road by the airport. Lots of black smoke.
Chief Officer, we are receiving multiple calls for service
That's the
for smoke in the area all around that appear that it's going to be related.
It's 81 engine 78, engine 178, Quint 76, Quint 66, engine 65, and Battalion 76 responding to a possible explosion in Fern Valley and Gray Lane. We've got multiple calls. I got a UPS plane that possibly landed on a building.
Yeah, possibly landed. Talk about, and this is what happens when ATC first gets these calls. Like they can only go by the information they're given, and they can't see everything. Yeah, they have a wide scope of view in the tower, but they're not experts in crash and salvage. So they just have to report what they've been told, what they can see, and basically let crash and salvage, and it's crash and salvage in the Navy. First responders do their thing. Hey, Kentucky Blue, I live 5 miles from the airport. Our city is sad over this. Yeah, and rest in peace to everybody who has lost their lives. And Kentucky Blue, um, how many people do you know? How many people are still unaccounted for? And prayers to their families. I mean, I know that doesn't account for a lot, but like we always talk about aviation stuff on this channel. We talk about difficult topics on this channel, but we always try to do it with the mindset that there was a loss of life and we're respectful of the people that, you know, we do it with a level of respect that, or we try to do it with a level of respect of people lost their lives. All these companies would rather deal with the fallout than replace the planes. Well, in it's my theory, based on things that I've heard, that I think that UPS and FedEx were in the process of replacing these planes. Because I had heard that it was 9%, the information that I can find, it was 9% of UPS's fleet was MD-11s. According to the video I watched from Captain Steve. And I believe his information based on where he said that he received it from. the thing about it is I could have sworn when I worked for an airline, um, in the late 2000s, um, that I could have sworn it was a hell of a lot more than 9%. I I could be wrong about the exact numbers, but I could have sworn that, like, they were flying mostly MD-11s, at least out of the city that I worked in. And I'll have to talk to my mom a little bit more about that because she has some contacts of um, friends that worked for UPS, and they'd probably have more information. Because when our airline um, cut jobs, most people that I worked with on ramp were also working for UPS or FedEx at the time. 14 have passed. Today they announced they identified the remains of all 14. I mean, as unfortunate as that is, at least they've all been yeah. And that's what I'm not sure of. I want to see the maintenance records if they're made public. The docket is still sealed. Um, I keep checking NTSB for the hopes that something will be made public soon. I doubt it. It's probably going to be weeks or months until the docket is unsealed, but who knows? I check daily because it's free, so why not? Um, he That's one of the things that I have to pick his brain about. However, what I did pick his brain about, what he did, the information he did give to me, um, was I had asked him, and I'm looking back because I had written all this down. Um, because he had not looked into it at all. So me asking him was the first time. Um, he said it should have been phased out 10 years ago. Um, he said um, the wings, and I asked him about the maintenance because the maintenance was supposedly on the fuel system. And this is where we get into hypotheticals. So hypotheticals, but hypotheticals based on knowledge of the airframe. He goes, it's a civilian aircraft, not military, so it will have wing fuel tank bladders. And I asked him, I was like, could maintenance on the fuel system in the wing cause issues with the pylon and engine structure? And he depends. And that's where more information. And he said fuel tank issues is the least of the problems. Forget about that part. So that's when I stopped asking questions about that because um, which leads me to believe that he does not think that the fuel or the maintenance on the fuel system had anything to do with the problem. That is all hypotheticals based on knowledge of the airframe and just general knowledge of aviation on his part. However, um, yeah, yeah, and there are planes that are like AT1 can tell you that there are planes that are old as shit in the military that are still flying. But I am not 100% sure how often and what the maintenance cycle for civilian aircraft are. Every company is different, but and this is where we get into hypotheticals, and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. But but we've seen issues with Boeing in the past. And I'm wondering if the fact that these aircraft are old combined with the fact that Boeing owns them or like they're now Boeing didn't own these. UPS owned these. Let's be clear. But Boeing is the owner of the airframe, so to speak. Um, it's like it's like it's like a car. So say Ford, like say I own a Ford. Well, I own the car, but Ford's the manufacturer, and Ford will put out a bulletin saying, "Oh, we've noticed this problem with this aircraft," and it's up to me to be able to like fix it. I'm wondering if there was something with these aircraft also that Boeing didn't do, you know. Yeah, UPS leases the plane and the engine. It's just and there's a lot of, like, hypotheticals with these situations. Boeing is the subject matter expert on the airframe. Thank you. Yeah, just like I'm trying to, like, think of ways to describe it because it's very hard for me to put into words. Like, I understand how it works, but it's very hard for me to put it into words in one, a way that will be easily understood by the general public and that my brain can switch over to from technical terminology to basic terminology. And sometimes my brain gets stuck. Like y'all know I had brain surgery. So AT1, thank you for being my translator. Cuz sometimes like I know what I want to say. I just my brain doesn't want to translate it from aviation to general public. That's why I try to like put it into like cars because most people know cars. Like even though like Ford is the manufacturer, but other companies have them and they own them and it's like they operate them. It's like I own my car, I operate my car. Ford doesn't operate my car, but Ford puts out bulletins on recalls and things that they've noticed with this airframe or this, you know. Um, well, it's kind of one of those situations where this this thing I like talking about this, but we always one of the reasons I like talking about these streams with Spawn, who happens to be taking a nap right now and won't get his butt out of bed. Um, he said he was gonna take a nap and then that he'd try to be awake, and the fact that he's not here means I know that he's still asleep, which the man needs sleep. Like, I don't the man needs sleep. But one of the reasons that I like having him here is because of the fact that we talk about these things with a heavy heart. We are always under the realization that people died. So it's a difficult conversation. And it's not. It's different than the difficult conversation of like Jeremy and the lawsuits because at the end of the day, Jeremy's still here. Um there's 14 people that are no longer with us. So yes, the HCSB looks into vehicles and their flaws. The NTSB should have an overall inspection. It's yeah, and Kentucky Blue. Um, I have a 3-year-old, so that also hits, you know. But I didn't grow up in Kentucky. I went to high school. My first second high school was in Kentucky, but I was in Lexington. So, but I can say Louisville, right? My mom will kill me if I say Louisville. Yeah, the loss of life is a hard thing to talk about. And it's like we talk about difficult topics on this, but we all on this channel, but we always like try to be respectful of the fact that like people lost their lives. Uh would have to look it up in general. They're dailies, weeklies, monthlies, semi-annual, annuals, and generally done by hours and systems. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I generally can kind of remember what we did Navy wise, but civilians I have a hard time remembering. Hey mom, do you happen to know what the maintenance here? Do you happen to know what the maintenance schedule for an MD-11 looks like? I swear if my mom knows what the maintenance schedule for an MD-11 looks like, I'm going to like pee my pants. Um uh and then I wanted to get into the and I swear I saved it on my phone. If I can't find it again, we're going to have a problem. NTSB. I have a whole NTSB folder on my there we go. And I have the MD-11 operator's guide from 2007 or 2006. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's certain things that I will use ChatGPT for, like searches and stuff like that, but then, like, yeah, ugh, and that's scary because I used to go with my grandpa to the recycling center all the time, which was right near, Milwaukee's airport. So, yeah, and I do know that it had flown 70 hours, 70 flight hours since it left, maintenance in San Antonio, but that's all I know. Well, that's not all I know, that's all I can confirm. And I will tell you when we do hypotheticals on this channel, but, like, for the most part, I try to only talk about things that I can confirm. That way, when y'all go to say, "Oh, I saw this on Squids," it's actual, like, yeah. So, this was an Emergency Airworthiness Directive, and when I sent a screenshot of this to Mr. Squid, his first words were, "That was fast." Like, yes. So we are gonna read through this, and then we are gonna read through what I think this means for the world in general. Um, but we'll get through this first. It's only 3 pages. So, um, Emergency Airworthiness Directive is sent to owners and operators of the Boeing Company Model MD-11 and MD-11F, which this Emergency Airworthiness Directive was prompted by an accident where the left-hand engine and pylon detached from the airplane during takeoff. The cause of this detachment is currently under investigation. This condition could result in the loss of continued safe flight and landing. The FAA's determination, FAA is issuing this AD because the agency has determined the unsafe condition is likely to exist or develop in other products of the same type design. That's an interesting, that's just an interesting statement to me. It's likely to develop or exist in other products of the same type and design. It's, eh. Unless they cite actual references, I do not trust AI searches as they hallucinate too much based on traffic. Yeah, I use AI to do searches for me. Like, hey, look up articles on um, lower body exercises for a chair. But it gives me the articles and then I read the articles. So it's helpful in searching for things, but I don't just trust what it says for the sake of you know. Oh, it's been an interesting stream. The first 30 minutes were just like skip it. Yeah. Um that hasn't happened on another model of plane. The engine falling off is I mean, of all the TFOAs, that's got to be a rarity. I mean, wait, so a flaw was recognized and they didn't take it out of service immediately? Honestly, I don't know. The way that this is phrased is just interesting. AD requirements prohibits further flight until the airplane is inspected and all applicable corrective actions are performed using a method approved by the manager. AR 520 continued operational safety branch FAA. And the manager in this case would be the FAA, according to the source that I watched on it, and Mr. Squid. The FAA considers this AD to be an interim action. If final action is later identified, the FAA might consider further rulemaking then. Justification for immediate adoption and determination of the effective date. So that administrative procedure authorizes agencies to forego notice and comment procedures for rules when they are agency for good cause. Find that those procedures are practicable, unnecessary, or contrary to the public interest. Under this section, an agency, upon finding good cause, may issue a final rule without proving or providing notice and seeking comment prior to issuance. Further, Section 553D of the APA authorizes agencies to make rules effective less than 30 days upon finding of good cause. An unsafe condition exists that requires the immediate adoption of this emergency AD to all known U.S. owners and operators of these airplanes. The FAA has found the risk to the flying public and safety in air commerce justifies foregoing notice and comment prior to the adoption of this rule because the severity of the unsafe condition necessitates prohibiting further flight until the airplane is inspected and applicable corrective actions are performed. The compliance time in this AD is shorter than the time necessary for the public to comment and for publication of the final rule. Accordingly, notice and opportunity for prior public comment are impracticable and contrary to the public interest. In addition, the FAA finds that good cause exists for making this amendment effective in less than 30 days. For the same reasons, the FAA found good cause to forego notice and comment. And then they have the authority. So it's effective upon receipt. It's unsafe condition. This AD was prompted by an accident where the left-hand engine and pylon, which is interesting. It's not just the engine, it's the pylon detached too, from the airplane during takeoff. Cause of this detachment is currently under investigation. The unsafe condition could result in loss of continued and safe flight and landing. So, what does this mean? Long story short, I don't think we'll ever see the MD-11 fly again. I don't think we will ever see it fly again. I think that the companies, basically FedEx and UPS, were in the process of phasing these out just based on costs, especially over the last 5 years, and costs significantly increasing in everything. But now, instead of them doing it on their own schedule, the FAA forced their hand. I don't think we'll ever see this again. But this being what Captain Steve, and I'm using Captain Steve, I will drop the link to his video in the description of this video so you can watch his entire video on talking about this, because he does a much better job than I am. He is a retired American Airlines pilot, just recently retired. I think he retired like 2 videos ago. He's been making videos for a few years, but I think his video of his last flight was, I think, like 3 weeks to a month ago. So he's recently retired. So we might see a new side of Captain Steve. That being said, I watch everything he does, because he's where I get my pilot information from. Get my airframe information and get my airframe information from Mr. Squid. The pilot information I get from Captain Steve. I would love to have a conversation with that man. Like, I need to email him. But part of me is like, why would someone with that big of a channel and that popular of a person want to talk to, like, someone like me? But then the civilian side of things and the not the gate agent and weight and balance, passengers, ramp side of things, I talk to my mother. So I take a little bit from other people, and that's where I form my opinions. So I have the avionics background, but avionics and airframes are obviously different. But what does this mean for us as the general public? From just the general public won't see a change in anything because these are not used for the flying public. These are not passenger aircraft. These are freight aircraft. However, if you work for Delta, American, United, Southwest, any of those airlines, even Spirit, get ready to start handling more cargo because all of the cargo that these MD-11s were planning on hauling has got to go somewhere. So, and just in case you have, you are a member of the public and you never realized that your civilian aircraft handle cargo, that is how your girl got. It's hard to see, but I have a nice scar on my hand. See that scar? I filleted my finger loading cargo on a plane. So, that was a nice trip to the hospital for me. However, it's you know, we things might be slower. This combined with the federal shutdown, I know that the government finally passed something to reopen. However, the government's slow. So just because they passed a resolution doesn't mean shit's going to be immediate. Take that one with a grain of salt. However, we yeah, Captain Steve is awesome. I love Captain Steve. Man, like um that if you order something and your Amazon package, because Amazon has the contract with UPS. So if you order something from Amazon and your 2-day delivery is a week, don't be shocked. Don't blame Amazon because this is not an Amazon problem. We always want to blame people. And, it is what it is. But if you notice shit, if as a member of the public, order your stuff sooner rather than later. I know we always try to do things last minute. We're so used to convenience. Um, there's a good chance that you will be inconvenienced by this if you're ordering stuff online. I know that sounds crazy, but as if you are a person flying, um, you won't notice a difference because this isn't freight aircraft. However, if you are someone who orders online, like me, a lot, and you were supposed to get your package in 2 days, and it's been 4 or 5, 6 days, and it still hasn't gotten there, be patient, because all 6% of FedEx and 9% of UPS's fleet is now grounded. So they are scrambling to try to figure out how to do this, where to go, what planes to use, who they can contact. I guarantee you, as soon as this came out, operations for FedEx and UPS were on phones immediately with Delta, United, American, trying to figure out what the fuck they were going to do. So if your flights are delayed because they're loading extra cargo, it is what it is. But we all got to work together. We all got to work together. And Unkong Hero, thanks for the $20 super chat. Deadliest plane crash in the States before 9/11 was a DC-10 whose engine fell off because of maintenance shortcuts. Yeah, that wasn't that in Texas? I think. Wasn't that in Texas? I can't remember. I'm old, but I ain't that old. That was in the 70s, right? Scamazon. Hey, Scamazon. I'm sorry. Amazon is convenient as. Sorry, can't help it. Bad Duck, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. They both have fleets of semis. Yeah, however, when 9% of your fleet of flights is shit changes. 9% of think about 9%. 9% might not seem like a big number, but when you're a worldwide carrier and now 9% of your 9% of your fleet is now grounded, that's a lot of shit. And that flight was going to Hawaii. I was going from Louisville to Hawaii. Think about the distance. So Louisville to Hawaii that could be like New York to London. So the MD-11s can go a long distance. Um, so think about, you order something from overseas or people from overseas order something from here. Eh, you know? Yeah, most of it will affect overseas things coming in. There's the problem. Oh yeah. Oh yes, this right here. Squid's new video on her second channel just dropped. Oh, yeah, good luck with that. Go see it later, not now. Um, and yes, maintenance not passing info caused crash. They were under no overtime bullshit. Ugh. You would be surprised at how lazy people get with simple things like nuts and bolts. Some are single use only, and you should treat them as such. Yeah, people get pretty crazy with stuff. On that note, that is all I really wanted to talk about in this stream. Um, I did want Spawn on here because I enjoy discussing because he comes up with ideas and things from an outside perspective, and because he's outside the US, he has a different perspective on aviation in general. Some things I agree with and some I don't, but that's neither here nor there. But having a different perspective always makes me think differently. And I enjoy that, and so I built in some time for him and I to bounce ideas back and forth with each other, and since he's not here, um, we're about a half an hour short on our time. However, that being said, my video just dropped 3 minutes ago on my new channel. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please go give that channel a like and a follow, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We are going to go over the lawsuit in Levy County tomorrow. However, we are also going to go over what is stalking and what is not. We might do a little game of a behavior and is it stalking or is it not? We might play a little game. Um, because I I apologize in advance for the language in my email, but I think you'll understand. Yeah. The UPS World Port is in Louisville. They have a lot of large planes flying out. Yeah, and Ken Kentucky Blue, you have to forgive me. I lived in Cincinnati as a kid, and then I lived in another place in Ohio, and then I lived in Central Kentucky. But Cincinnati's airport is in Kentucky, technically speaking. But I don't know how far that is from Louisville. It's like right because Cincinnati doesn't have enough space for it, so they put it in Kentucky. But I don't know if that's like an hour from Louisville or like 45 minutes. I don't know that it's been a while, so forgive me. But like that's the hub for Delta. So like they got shit going out of there too. How close are those airports? An hour. Okay, thank you. I was like, I knew it's like, yeah. Because there would be sometimes because my parents would meet to swap me in Indiana, and my mom would drive from Indiana back to Kentucky, and sometimes we would go um was through Louisville, but yeah, that's beside the point. Side note, um, be good. Yeah, oh, it's Chicago. Thanks. You know, it's what it is. Sorry, Kansas tall flowers. Just saying. All right. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with me today, and thanks for dealing with my rant at the beginning. I was in mama bear mode last night, and I don't take kindly to people talking about my child or mentioning my child in comments. Please note that even mentioning my child is now that everybody's gotten a warning, is a bannable offense. It I don't care if you'll call me the biggest bitch in the world. I don't care if you call me a thunder cow. You you do you, boo boo, but my child is off limits. Anybody who mentions baby squid in the comments, um, and yes, she occasionally pops onto this channel because she is 3 and she wants my damn attention because she is 3. But I do not make content about my child. So always rant. We love baby squid. Yeah, and I just and And I apologize for my comments about certain people sending screenshots to certain people. But it's like, if those certain people want to talk to me about who's in my chat, they are more than happy to reach out to me. They are not blocked. They know where I am. They know how to get a hold of me. It's just funny that they don't want to talk to me, but they will show my screenshots on their channels. Um, but yet they don't actually ever want to reach out and talk to me about those screenshots or what was said by those people in my chat or what I think about having those people in my chat. But, contrary to popular belief, I'm a loner. I don't, yeah. They can at least say, check you out and give you a view. Oh, yeah. They didn't, oh, yeah. For people saying pimp their channels all the time, um, they, um, apparently, from what I was told, I have no idea. They sure as hell don't tell anybody to subscribe to my channel, but that's okay because I don't want to be a clout chaser. I would rather have I would rather um, I would rather have people subscribe to my channel based on me and the work and things that I talk about and the information that I find, and not because someone told them to. Yes, mother first, streamer second. There was also somebody that commented on my post because I did put that initial screenshot on a community post, and there was someone was like, "Well, if you wouldn't keep showing her on screen, I'm sorry, my child will be like, I if when she's 4, 5, 6, and she's able to stay off screen and actually listen when I tell her to stay out of." There's a reason that my desk faces the wall, and it's to keep her as off screen as possible, but at the same time, she is 3 years old, she's gonna do what she wants to do when she wants to do it, and sometimes I can only do my best to, circumnavigate that. So, you know, uh, yeah, but 1, he doesn't show himself on camera, which is fine, everybody's entitled to do whatever they wanna do, but also they're old enough where they're cognitively intact enough to listen. Um, 3 years old, she is the pushing the limits of when I say, "Stay here," she's she does not listen, and she wants to get behind me, 1, because my setup is new, and 2, because she's 3 and she's gonna do whatever the hell she wants to do right now. Um, so, you know mhm. Yeah. Yep, the NTSB hasn't issued a preliminary report yet. Until they do, everything is just conjecture, and that's why I read the Airworthiness Directive. It came out a few days ago. I didn't initially hop on and do it because we were covering other things, but I wanted to make sure I covered it this week. Um, Never apologize for how you tend to baby squid and cover your topics. Well, I commented back to that person, um, that I commented back to that person, and that person didn't comment back and was not disrespectful with her comment. She was just like, "If you wouldn't show her on camera." And I just simply said, "Well, if her being 3 and needing my attention is reason for you to talk about her in the comment section, then that says more about you than it does about me." You know? I'm sure that comment's still up there. And "Don't poke the squid, she will ink you." Um, I'm just This is a reason why I'm like, I say I don't play well with others. It's I just I have my opinions, and and generally I keep them to myself. But sometimes I get pushed to the point where mama mode kicks in, and feel free for people to disagree with me. And Cynthia, you and I think have disagreed on some stuff, and it's like, you know, whatever, we still friends. Like, yeah, like this woman and I disagree all the damn time. All the damn time. But guess what? We respectfully agree to disagree. We don't uh we don't insult each other. So, it is what it is. Um, there's that. But I'll find the video. It's on YouTube. Oh no. I wish I would have saw that. I would have flipped my shit. Well, it is what it is. But I will see you guys on the next one tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Y'all have a great day. I love you guys. Bye.